So I just finished listening to Trump's farewell address that he gave earlier today from the White House, and I gotta tell you guys, it's right up there with one of the better speeches that he's ever given. I listened to it at 2x speed because you can make it out perfectly fine, and I got the transcript here. We're going to go through a couple of the points, and this speech was really about two halves: everything that him and his administrations had accomplished over the past 4 years and what we can look forward to in the future. Okay, everything that's been built, all the infrastructure that's there, and also warning about what could potentially be coming from the Biden administration. It was a warning about what to protect yourself from, and also telling you that your spirit, that your preparedness is the only way that you're going to make it through, and the only way that you're going to be able to accomplish anything for yourself in the long term. It was a very optimistic speech. There was no doom and gloom to this one. And I'm also going to take some bets on the over-under. 19 minutes and 47 seconds for Trump's farewell address. What do you think Joe Biden's inauguration speech is going to be? I'm going somewhere around 10 to 12 minutes. I don't think that old dude has it in him to be outside. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like in Washington tomorrow, but I can guarantee it's going to be under that 20-minute mark. I'll cover it, but I'm not even excited enough to watch it live. But we're going to go through this one point by point, and like I said, I really liked it. It is up there with potentially some of those State of the Union addresses. I would have preferred if this one was in the Oval Office, if he was sitting at the desk in front of the window like Reagan delivered his farewell address. I would have liked that image better, but Trump standing strong in front of the American flag at the podium is quintessential Trump, okay? Standing there in strength. And before we get into this, I also just want to preface this is Trump was not perfect. Trump isn't perfect. And if I'm to grade everything overall from his presidency, I'd say somewhere between a B and a B+, depending on the pardons that he drops later tonight. I might bump that up to a hard B+, but it's definitely somewhere in there, okay? And considering the Poppy Bush, Clinton, Obama cabal, which I would say overall was like a C- to a C. I'd lump them all together because they were all essentially the exact same policies over and over again. And Trump's biggest flaw, well, I'm not going to push this totally on his plate, but at the same time, he has some responsibility to take for this as well. Appointing people to positions that weren't really loyal to him. Okay, did he take some bad advice? Yes, but did he put those people in place? Yes. Did he bomb Syria on a whim because Ivanka felt bad that day? Yes. Is Kushner somebody that you should be listening to all the time? Probably not. And the only people who really stood next to him throughout the entire thing, he does give props to. Mark Meadows there, his chief of staff, who was right there through thick and thin. That dude is the only one who had his back the entire time. And one of the few people who stayed in the cabinet the full duration of his term, his first term. But yeah, we're going to go through this. We're not going to hit every point. We're just going to hit most of the points here. So yeah, he thanks his family, of course, Mike Pence, Mark Meadows. It's very unique that he pointed out the United States Secret Service. Like, this is what he said here about them. I also want to take a moment to thank a truly exceptional group of people, the United States Secret Service. My family and I will forever be in your debt. My profound gratitude as to everyone in the White House military office, the teams of Marine One and Air Force One, every member of the armed forces, and the state and local law enforcement across our country. Just a law and order to the very end. And, those Secret Service people had their hands full, okay? You never heard a peep out of them. Of all of the leaks that would come through to the media over the past 4 years, not a single blip out of anybody from the Secret Service. And yeah, they definitely do deserve a special shout out. And yesterday we went through gubernatorial races, the Senate races that are coming up for 2022. And I left somebody off who I was going to cover at the same time, but I definitely am glad I didn't, because I want to point out right now, Mike Pence and his future when it comes to politics at a federal level. Hopefully he can hop into the Senate in Indiana, because I don't think that he's going to be Trump's running mate if Trump decides to run in 2024, which it sounds like by the end of the speech that he's definitely considering it, and all roads just kind of lead to that's eventually going to happen. I think that Mike Pence completely 100% torpedoed his political futures to a higher office going forward. Could he be the running mate for Nikki Haley if Nikki Haley decides that she's going to perk her diversity higher ass into the primary for 2024? Highly possible, but I don't see much of a future for Mike Pence. He kind of swept that plate clear by not doing anything and just coming out at the last minute saying, oh yeah, I can't do anything with the Electoral Count Act. Ha 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 ha. That's why he warranted praise for what he did, but at the same time, it was the simple sentence of, I want to thank Mike Pence and his wonderful wife Karen and the entire Pence family. That was the only time that Mike Pence was brought up during this speech. Very telling because of that. He thanks the American people. He gives a very magnanimous bit of praise to everybody, saying that Americans will always have our disagreements. We are a nation of incredible, decent, faithful, and peace-loving citizens who all want our country to thrive and flourish and be very, very successful and good. We are truly a magnificent nation. And then, yeah, you kind of got to tip your hat to what happened to the Capitol a couple weeks ago on the 6th. All Americans were horrified by the assault on our Capitol. Police violence is an attack on everything we cherish as Americans. It can never be tolerated. And then that was it. Just a passing mention of that. You kind of got to, based on the images we're seeing out of Washington, D.C. right now, which definitely looks like an installation of the highest regards, but we might get to that later. Depends on when those pardons start coming out. Like, just look at the verbiage here. We passed the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. We slashed more job-killing regulations than any administration had ever done before. We fixed our broken trade deals, withdrew from the horrible Trans-Pacific Partnership and the impossible Paris Climate Accord, renegotiated the one-sided South Korea deal, and we replaced NAFTA with the groundbreaking USMCA. That's Mexico and Canada, a deal that's worked out very, very well. See, he points out we accomplished this, not I accomplished this. And that's very important because everybody in the media likes to paint Trump as a tyrant, as a total 100% dictator. But every time that you actually listen to the guy talk, that you take the time to read the transcripts, it's all there. It's we did this, we accomplished this, we are Americans, we are good people, which is going to be a stark contrast from what that inauguration speech is going to be tomorrow. We have darkness ahead, but we can save that for tomorrow. It doesn't much matter. I don't want to take away from how really uplifting, and you know what, I won't lie, I was a little bit sad watching this because I like Trump. I like what he did. I like what he's going to do in the future. And I know the tough time we're going to be facing over the next probably 2 years, depending on what the outcome and what we can expect from the midterms, but at least until 2024, but he's still going to be around, okay? And then goes on to say that, yeah, the China virus caused the destruction of the incredibly great economy, which everybody who has even the faintest whiff of short-term memory kind of remembers that, you know, everybody was really firing on all cylinders when it came to the economy prior to the China virus, saying that America outperformed other countries economically because of our incredible economy and the economy that we built. Economy. Without the foundations and footings, we wouldn't have worked out this way. We wouldn't have some of the best numbers we've ever had. Yeah, he also says this as well. Yeah, slashing the unemployment rate when it was just completely up there, and then overperforming when estimates were it was going to be like 12% at the time that it was either the elections or the debates were taking place, but then it was down at like 8%. Like, some people hand wave that away by saying, oh, some of those were full-time jobs and they're only part-time jobs there. Yeah, guess what? People were working. And once all of those lockdowns disappear, what's stopping those part-time jobs from becoming full-time jobs again? Biden's economic plan. And this is what could have been a dark note, something that he could have hammered on the entire time, but this is as negative as the speech got. When our nation was hit by the terrible pandemic, we produced not one but 2 vaccines with a record-breaking speed, and more will quickly follow. See, you could have just lingered on everybody dying and so many cases and, oh, that crash, but no. The medical miracle of the 2 vaccines, and Johnson & Johnson going to be launching there soon, and all of those are outperforming the Chinese cure that only has like a 50% efficacy rate, which is underperforming even the regular seasonal flu virus. That one's normally like 60-some%, right? And like he says here, we grieve for every life lost, and we pledge in our memory to wipe out this horrible pandemic once and for all. Oh, but he didn't do enough. Okay, what's your plan? Oh, I don't know, kind of exactly what you're doing, but it won't be you in charge, so therefore it'll be good. Assholes. And this is where he starts to plant the seeds of, oh shit, Biden's going to come in and he's going to immediately start tearing this stuff down. For years, the American people pleaded with Washington to finally secure the nation's border. Biden's going to be getting rid of the wall, by the way. There's an executive order on the table, and he's going to be signing that. And as soon as he does, I'll be covering that because everybody, for the most part, likes the wall, okay? It's only the Twitter sphere that hates the wall. And that was classic art of the deal shit. It's like, we're going to have the big, beautiful wall, 10 feet tall, completely concrete. And then in talking with the people who would be down there on the wall, be like, listen, we got to see through this thing, and it doesn't need to be that high, and bullard fencing in most of this place would work. Like, okay. And then, yeah, it got built where it needed to get built. So, success. I am pleased to say we answered the plea and achieved the most secure border in U.S. history. We have given our brave border agents and heroic ICE officers the tools they need to do their job better than they have ever done before, and to enforce our laws and to keep America safe. See, walls and well-trained officers are so successful. That's what Biden's using in order to secure the Capitol building right now, and many other capitals around the country. So the next time you get into a conversation with a lefty saying that walls are racist, just make sure that you have a picture of the Capitol and the inauguration day on your phone at all times. We proudly leave the next administration with the strongest and most robust border security measures ever put into place. Just telling you that, yeah, here's what we have right now. And without a doubt, they are strong, robust, and holding back the caravan right now that is just waiting for amnesty that Joe Biden's promising these people. And we'll cover that once he signs that, including historic agreements with Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, along with more than 450 miles of that beautiful wall. And something that Trump also hammered Biden on during the debates, which cannot be overstated, just how well he built back up the VA and Veterans Affairs and the military as well by not sending people's kids to die needlessly in the sand. Something that's definitely going to pick back up again at lightning speed under a Biden administration. But that's being negative. Let's focus on the positive here. And perhaps more importantly of all, with nearly $3 trillion, we fully rebuilt the American military, all made in the United States. We launched a first new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces in 75 years, the Space Force. Well, as long as something happens from it. It's a cool logo right now, but if given another 4 years, perhaps there would have been some space missions, but this one could be shelved like NASA was for the past, 10, 15 years? And this will be the last time you'll hear anything like this. We revitalized our alliances and rallied the nations of the world to stand up to China like never before. I just want you guys to really sit on that statement for a second, because, Biden will talk tough when he has to. I'm going to stand up to Xi Jinping. I'm going to stand up to those thugs like Putin. Listen, man, the only thing that Xi Jinping's going to have to do is just pick up the phone and ask one stack or two, and that's all that's going to happen for Biden when it comes to China. Mentioning how they blew up the ISIS caliphate, which is, for all intents and purposes, completely destroyed at this point. Like, there's a little bit of a resurgence, but perhaps that's just Iran getting a little bit too spicy for its own good. And this is the first time that Trump draws attention to himself specifically. I'm especially proud to be the first president in decades who has started no new wars. Impressive, because this speech is about halfway done before he starts to say anything about himself specifically. And yeah, he had the opportunity to go into Syria, okay? He had the opportunity to go into Iran, North Korea, take your pick, but he didn't. He chose diplomacy. Remember how Hillary Clinton said that Trump was going to start new wars with North Korea back in 2016? Yeah, none of that happened. The exact opposite of that happened. And hopefully that is still the case in 4 years' time. I highly doubt it, though. I highly doubt it. And here's another line that's very important. Our allegiance is not to special interests, corporations, or global entities. It is to our children, our citizens, and to our nation itself. Just another thing that I hope is true in 4 years' time, but I highly doubt about it. And this is important, too. This, I hope, is our greatest legacy. Together, we put the American people back in charge of our country. We restored self-government. We restored the ideas that in America, no one is forgotten, because everyone matters and everyone has a voice. We fought for the principle that every citizen is entitled to equal dignity, equal treatment, and equal rights because we are all made equal by God. Everyone is entitled to be treated with respect, to have their voices heard, and to have their government listen. You are loyal to your country, and my administration was always loyal to you. You know how I know that's true? Getting rid of critical race theory, constantly being out there at rallies in the public, never backing down from anybody in the media, always making himself accessible to whoever wanted to interview him, and not being the one leading the commissions on how to be nicer to the Silicon Valley big tech firms. Always leading the charge against that. Did anything come of it? That's for those senators who just love those big show trials and then never follow up on it. And that's another thing that has got to be laid at the feet of Trump. He had an opportunity over the past 4 years to do something about 230. He's a little late on that. Now as his speech winds down, he starts to look forward to the future, and I really like this point. But the greatest danger we face is loss of confidence in ourselves, a loss of confidence in our nation's greatness. A nation is only as strong as its spirit. We are only as dynamic as our pride. We are only as vibrant as our faith that beats in the hearts of our people. No nation can thrive that loses faith in its own values, histories, and heroes. For these are the very sources of our unity and our vitality. Exactly. Don't let the fear of what's coming in the next 2 to 4 years drive you to think that there's no hope, because that's when your enemies win. And that's what Trump is telling you to do right now. He is telling you to double down on your values, on your history, and your faith, knowing that you as a person are strong enough to overcome. I really like that. And here's another little shot as well. In America, we don't insist on absolute conformity or enforce rigid orthodoxies and punitive speech codes. We just don't do that. America is not a timid nation of tame souls who need to be sheltered and protected from those with whom we disagree. That's not who we are. It will never be who we are. I'll just let that one lie. I think you guys can all draw your parallels as you will. Now, here's how he ended the speech. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to read some of it to you, and then I'll just close it out with some final thoughts. Now, as I prepare to hand over power to a new administration at noon on Wednesday, I want you to know that the movement we started is only just the beginning. There's never been anything like it. The belief that a nation must serve its citizens will not dwindle, but instead only grow stronger by the day. As long as American people hold in their hearts deep and devoted love of our country, then there is nothing that this nation cannot achieve. Our communities will flourish. Our people will be prosperous. Our traditions will be cherished. Our faith will be strong. And our future will be brighter than ever before. Go from this majestic place with a loyal and joyful heart, an optimistic spirit, and a supreme confidence that our country and for our children, the best is yet to come. It was really good. It was really, really good. And that's where I think that Trump is going to be around for the next 4 years. He might just take a couple of months off to just sit back and chill, figure out what the plan forward is. We might not hear from him for a little while, but at the same time, the dude accomplished a lot, and he covered it in this speech, which I do recommend. It'll be a part of the article that I link to the transcript, and then the video's up at the top, or you can go search for it on YouTube if you'd like to do that as well. Since you're here, or over on Rumble, I'm sure that there's a million versions of it as well. But what's powerful about the entire message here, the one stream that run true through the entire 20 minutes was every individual is stronger than the forces acting against them. The belief that this nation must serve its citizens will not dwindle, but instead only grow stronger by the day. The nation is stronger than those pulling the strings right now. Okay, did this side get screwed in the general election? Highly possible. Will we ever find out anything about it? Probably not, but that doesn't matter. What makes a champion is not that they get knocked down, it's just that they get back up, and everything that I've seen in this speech just says, hey, we're going to get back up and we're going to be more powerful. There's never been anything like it. I look forward to seeing what the pardons look like here later tonight, and if they're out by the time that I'm done recording, I'll definitely do a segment on it. Otherwise, we'll be touching on that first thing tomorrow, first or second thing, because I also got to cover old Emperor Biden's installation speech as well, and I'm sure that'll be a fucking trip. Able to watch that at 3 or 4 times speed. Anyways, guys, yeah, do take the time to watch this. I liked it. I was uplifted by it, even though I'm disappointed to see him leave. I just know that the movement's getting started, and even from somebody over here in Canada, I know that something great is going to come out of this, and it's going to reach more than just the people within the borders of the United States, and I'm very optimistic. As tough as I know the next couple of years are going to be, turnabout's fair play, motherfuckers. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.